want to welcome all of you to this semester's presentation of Introduction to Social Welfare. This is a cross-listed course in the Departments of Human Services and Social Work for UAA. And so we have students coming to this class with very different majors. In addition to this, as the class points out at 1 or 2 points in Blackboard, this also fulfills a general education requirement for the university. And so as a result of that, oftentimes students who make up this class will include students who have majors really quite far away from human services and social work. And so the blend of ideas and opinions and approaches that we get in discussions and interactions around this class tend to be very, very interesting. And so I encourage all of you to speak up through the vehicle of the discussion boards as we go along through the semester, and share ideas with each other as we go through a lot of topics which in this day and age, unfortunately, or perhaps inevitably, are very political. I say inevitable because social welfare, which for those of us in the social work profession, this is where my degree is, have a tendency to see the need to help those who are down and out and or have particular issues and problems as something that we're obligated to do in a society. But in fact, as you will learn quickly as you look at some of the early chapters in the textbook in this course, social welfare has many political and has had political features to it going back very far into the ancient day. And so, in any event, this promises to be a much more interesting semester than I think you probably anticipate it will be. Just hold on and you'll see what we're talking about as the semester goes along. My name is Bill Galic. I am a licensed clinical social worker. For those of you not in the field, that's what those letters after my name means. And I've been practicing in the social work field for almost 40 years now. I got my bachelor's degree from Michigan State in social work in 1974, and that's a long time ago now, it seems. And also got my master's in social work at Florida State University in 1983. And I have been employed continuously in the field since I took my first job in food stamp certification in Florida in 1974 after I graduated from Michigan State. The different jobs that I've had in the field, and just for your own knowledge, include public welfare programs like food stamp certification and what was then called the AFDC program, now is TANF or ATAP, that is the public assistance programs. I was a welfare worker, as many people thought of us, back in the mid-1970s in Central Florida as well, and certified many families, in fact worked with many migrant families who lived in really terrible poverty in those days. From public assistance, after a couple of years in public assistance, moved into child protection in Central Florida and worked that area for 4 years, when I was then hired to work at the local children's shelter or children's home in Orange County. It was then called Great Oaks Village. Now I believe it is the Orange County Department of Children's Services, or Children and Family Services in Orlando, Florida, that is. And I worked at Great Oaks for about 7 or 8 years. During that period of time, I left and to go back and get my master's degree. And when I came back, then managed the counseling departments on the campus in as many programs for several years. That program, when I left down there, I think we had 128 beds for children aged 6 to 18 who were in the child welfare system looking for foster homes or those kinds of things. It's much larger now. Since I've left, it's gotten much larger. In 1987, I moved to Kenai, Alaska, and I've been here ever since. So I spent the first 8 years working as an outpatient mental health therapist, mostly working with children and families throughout that entire period of time. And then in 1995, I was hired by the state to supervise the Child Protection Office in Kenai, Alaska, where I've worked ever since. My focus has become more and more specialized over the years as our staff has grown, and there's been a need for additional supervisors to be hired. And so right now I manage the child protection investigations, although they're now called initial assessments, and I also manage the one-person office in Seward. In addition to this, I've been teaching social work and social welfare, human services, and sociology classes for the last 20 years or so, mostly at Kenai Peninsula College. And as you can see, in the last 5 years or so, some of my teaching presence has moved to the internet now, and so I'm teaching classes for Kenai Peninsula College or UAA on the web. And so it's been a very interesting career. I still have a number of years ahead of me here, and I hope that this collection of experience will be of some benefit as I talk with you about this topic throughout the semester. You have contact information for me there. The first email address is my university address. The second is my home address. Both emails are accounts that only I look at, and so you can feel confident in your privacy in both of those email accounts. The university prefers that we communicate through the university address. Also, phone numbers available there. If I cannot answer the phone when you call, which is very possible, leave your name and number, and I'll do my best to get back in touch with you. However, I want to tell you that I think email is the best way and the most efficient way to reach me. Your textbooks, there are 3 different textbooks for this semester, and the first one is the New History of Social Welfare. This is now in its 7th edition. The author Phyllis Day has authored the first 6 editions and now has a co-author in the 7th edition. And it is this text that really kind of organizes the outline for the course, and you'll see as we go along through the semester that we pretty much work through these chapters sequentially. The cover, I assume, is of Roman aqueducts, and it kind of suggests to you that the history that we focus upon is ancient history, and that's not at all the case. I'm not particularly thrilled with this cover, but in any event, you will spend a little bit of time looking at sort of the ancient underpinnings of our social welfare system in the first few weeks, but we move beyond that fairly rapidly, and I try to keep this course very relevant to modern day, while those old ancient roots have some bearing certainly on how things are conducted today in this area. This isn't going to be the ultimate focus of the course. Nonetheless, this textbook does take a historical view of social welfare, and so we're going to move through time more or less as we read through those chapters. And as we go, you'll see more and more how each of those steps through time relate to the modern day and the shaping of the present day social welfare system. And along that line, the next textbook that you'll be reading is a smaller book, a sort of a secondary textbook called So You Think I Drive a Cadillac by Karen Seacom. This book focuses upon the perspectives of welfare recipients who live in the system in the current day, and addresses the needs that the system does and does not present for them. Resolve for them. It's a very honest look at social welfare and its system and its recipients, and you'll see that it addresses some of those kind of myths that we have about social welfare recipients driving Cadillacs and living high in the hog and making more babies because they get more money when they do, and those kinds of things. While there are kernels of truth to some of those things, it certainly doesn't give an adequate picture of what the life situation is of welfare recipients, and this book does an excellent job of this. And so as we walk through the history of social welfare with Phyllis Day, Karen Seacom is going to give you an introduction to what goes on in the lives of current recipients of the modern day system. Finally, you'll have a text it's not a text, it's a little book called The Jungle. And some of you may have read this in your high school English classes. I know that some local schools do that. This is a book that was first published over 100 years ago, and the author, Upton Sinclair, is a socialist, or was a socialist. In fact, he ran for governor of California, I believe, at one time on a socialist party ticket. Sinclair, if I were to compare Upton Sinclair to any modern day individuals, I would say that what Upton Sinclair did in books in those days, Michael Moore does today in film. Upton Sinclair was one of the individuals called the muckrakers. You may remember reading about in American history from the early 1900s, the first part of the 1900s, where they were exposing a lot of the issues and problems in our society, bringing it to the attention of the people in middle class and upper class parts of the society, and through that then brought about social change. And The Jungle is perhaps one of, if not the most important book, one of the most important books of that era, as far as bringing about social change is concerned. As much as Michael Moore is detested by a certain element of our society, and perhaps lionized by other elements of our society today, Upton Sinclair, I'm sure, was treated much the same way and seen much the same way 100 years ago. And at the turn of the last century, in the early 1900s, if you think about this in an historical context, and we'll talk about this more at the time that you read this book, there was a lot of things going on around the world in terms of economics and political systems. If you know your history, you know in 1917 the Bolsheviks overthrew the Tsar in Russia, and really the socialist movement was really picking up steam all around the world, including the United States at that time. During the period of time when this book would have been more or less on the bestseller list, there was a socialist candidate for president in the United States by the name of Eugene B. Debs, who ran several times for president, and I believe to this day got the largest percentage that a third party candidate ever got in a presidential election, I think in 1916. By 1920, some would say he was such a threat to the two-party system that he ran for president, but from prison. He was put in jail, but he continued his campaign from prison. So in any event, there were a lot of things going on in those days, and there was a real concern politically in at the turn of the last century that socialists could wind up taking over the political system of the United States. Those of you may think, so what's new? Because a lot of people think Barack Obama is a socialist, and that his programs have some socialist leanings. And again, while there may be some kernels of the truth about the leanings of his programs and everything, trust me, he is very, very centrist and middle of the road compared to some of the socialists that were out there in the early 1900s. And you'll read more about them during this semester. This book is a small book, and you'll read it in kind of one at your own pace, and you have a small paper you turn in on this book, and then you're done with this. But this is a great illustration of what was going on in America 100 years ago in terms of social welfare, or better put, what was not going on 100 years ago. The course syllabus is available to you in a link in the Blackboard course, and you should click on that link. Find the link to the syllabus, click on the syllabus link, find the link to the syllabus on that page, and download and print that syllabus so that you have a hard copy of it available to you. I have also broken out the syllabus into several parts at that particular link in the course, so that you can do a quick look at the different parts if you have a question about anything. But having that hard copy syllabus on hand is always something that I think can be very useful. Please be sure to read through the syllabus, be sure you understand everything in it, and if you don't, please contact me. We will not have face-to-face meetings. This is an asynchronous course, so we won't have any e-live meetings. There are no scheduled times for us to sit down together. And so if you have a need you need to communicate to me, if you have a question, it's really up to you to contact me and let me know that, and I will do my best. Again, email, the best way to reach me. I will do my best to get back with you on this. If I see a question come up routinely, I may implement a sort of an FAQ kind of page in the course, or I can post announcements to answer a question that comes up frequently. But please do let me know if you have questions about the course. You'll see in the syllabus that there are several ways that you earn points in this course. Altogether, a 100% in this class would be 700 points. Now, there are bonus points of up to 50 points for extra discussion boards, and that would be over and above that 700. So technically speaking, you could earn 750 points. But most people don't do that. So somewhere in that area, those 700 points would represent 100%, and you get some points through attendance and participation. How do you attend an online course? Well, first of all, Blackboard does track and report to me the last time you have logged in, when you log in, the kind of things that you look at, how frequently you look at things and everything. And so I can tell from that. I will be able to gauge attendance and participation and really interest in the topics with the quality of your discussion board and blog posts, and also through your involvement in the group research project, which we'll be talking about here in a few moments. So there are different ways that these 50 points kind of add in there, that those that are really engaged and involved in the course can be assured of getting the 50 points. You have discussion boards and blogs. Each week you have one discussion board and one blog, each worth 10 points. And this will be out of the course over the course of 14 weeks. And actually, I think the discussion boards, there's 15 weeks. And so there's actually even an extra 10 points you can earn in there. But in any event, 280 points of that 700 then come from your discussion board and blogs. How you get those points will be touched upon in a minute, but you can easily earn the full 10 points in each area each week if you are interested in this. In addition, you'll have the paper on the jungle, which is due somewhere in week 5, 6, or 7, somewhere in there. It's in the syllabus. That will be worth 70 points, and you will write up a traditional paper. It's a relatively short paper that summarizes the jungle, and submit it in Blackboard, and I'll grade it and return it to you. The other written project is a semester's your term paper, basically, but instead of writing up a separate term paper, what you're going to be doing is working in a group in a research and a written project. Typically, I assign 2 people and a pair, and then pair that pair with another pair, and the 4 of them present one paper to me on a topic. However, when the needs of the class is when there are more students in the class than other classes, sometimes you will find that there will be 3 people in your groups, and we call them teams, and then pair those teams together for your group. But more about this in a few moments, but this project is worth 150 points, and this will give you an opportunity to interact and get to know some of your classmates. This is another very interesting part, I think, that you'll see in this class. When you have submitted your written project, I grade it, I return it to you in Blackboard with the grade. I will also post an ungraded final version of your paper in a discussion board forum, and your classmates will then have an opportunity to read them and to engage in discussion through the discussion board about each of those topics. And so that's where these 50 points will come from, is really talking with each other about classmates' papers. So you'll have an opportunity to respond to other classmates' topics as well. So not only you're producing a paper, but you'll be reading your classmates' papers as well. So you really stand to learn a lot through these projects. There are 2 tests during this semester worth a total of 100 points. The first test is 40 points. The final test, which is cumulative in nature but will focus upon the second half of the semester, is worth 60 points. More about that in a few slides. Finally, your bonus points, because in I think 5 weeks of the 15 weeks, there are actually 2 discussion boards posted, so that you have an opportunity, if you wish, and this is purely voluntary, but if you want to do this, you have an opportunity to earn extra points there by responding to and participating in a second discussion board forum. The grading scale is a standard grading scale, as you can see here. I think pretty much what we're used to with the university. So at 700 points, then you can figure this out. If a little bit of math, that I believe 630 points is the A, right? 90% of 700 to 80% of 700 is 560. That's the bottom line for a B, and so on. I talked about participation and attendance, and that's 50 points. Your discussion boards will work like this. Your reading assignments are posted on a Sunday morning. So this week the opening was a little different because classes really don't start till Monday. But from here on out, throughout the rest of the semester, Sunday morning at 5 minutes after midnight, a new learning unit will open up for that week. And there you will get your reading assignments, and you'll look through other slides with other course content. And so your reading assignments are posted on one Sunday morning. The discussion boards are also posted at the same time, and you have a week to complete your reading assignments and listen to the lectures, and then to respond to the discussion board question with an original response of a minimum of 150 words. I encourage more substantial discussion board posts for the full 10 points, but in any event, a minimum of 150 words. By the following Thursday, so that's the following Sunday night when that original post should be done. So you have a week to finish it. By the following Sunday night, that discussion board post should be completed, and then by the Thursday after that, you will have read some of your classmates' posts and will respond to at least two of those with discussion posts, discussion board responses to comments that they have made. So not only do you make your own posts, but you'll be interacting with your fellow students and commenting on each other's posts as well. So if you get assignments for two questions, let's say on Sunday, February the 5th, you post two original responses. I shouldn't have put the two questions in here, but because it's going to confuse things. But let's just say you have assignments for one question that opens on Sunday, February 5th. Your original response to that question should be posted by the following Sunday, February 12th, and your response to your at least two classmates' posts should be made by Thursday, February 16th. For your information, generally, I will be grading the discussion board forums the weekend after that, so I would be grading that particular discussion board forum the weekend of February the 18th and 19th. That means by that time everybody's post should be in, and I have the total picture of who said what, and so that's why I wait what amounts to almost 2 weeks before your discussion board forums are posted, from posting to grading. And I can tell you there are going to be periods of times where I'm going to fall behind in grading, and other times when I catch up. I just know that happens. I'll try to keep you posted on that. And despite what this says, oh my goodness, the original post and two responses do not earn 105 points each. They earn 10 points each. It's too late to change that now, but I'll do it. Well, anyway, it's 10 points, not 105 points. And as I said, occasionally there will be additional discussion boards where you can earn extra credit points. Next, you have your current events post on your weekly blog. Now, this is different from a discussion board because the discussion board is open to the class. Your weekly blog is private between you and me. And part of the reason for this is because I want you to have an opportunity. This would be kind of like you coming up to me at break or after class and saying, "Can I speak with you for a few moments?" And then telling me kind of what's on your mind about the topic. Maybe there are some personal things that are going on in relation within you that you want to talk over with me about the topic. Maybe it relates to something personally in your life that you would like to discuss with me or whatever. These topics have a way of stirring things up, and so I want you to have that opportunity to communicate with me privately if you'd like to do that, and to sometimes students will come up to me and say, I'd like to explain why I'm saying such and such in class, so again, this is an opportunity for you to speak more privately with me about things, or to speak even more directly about what you think about things without, because you're concerned that maybe somebody else will be offended by what you say, or something along those lines. Now, I don't want to be offended by what you say either, so always keep your posts appropriate, but this is just an opportunity for you to communicate with me privately. Now, what your blog is about current events. In my face-to-face class, what I've had students do in this class is to keep a scrapbook, cut out clippings from newspapers and magazines, and download articles off of webs about things that are going on in the world around us that relate to our topic. So there could be social welfare topics which include public assistance. It could include the Affordable Health Care Act. It could be an article about homelessness. It could be an article about domestic violence or child abuse, or women's rights or civil rights. Articles coming from Martin Luther King Day and the impact he had on equal rights and those kinds of things. Anything about social welfare or civil rights. Gay marriage, all those kinds of things. All those things are game, and what I want you to do is to select one of those stories, one of those articles, summarize the article in your blog briefly, and then give me your reaction to the topic. Give me your response to that particular topic, what you think about the article or what you think about the topic. Pretty simple. This is sort of your scrapbook. Instead of clipping articles, what you're doing is you're just writing about them and reporting to me every week. This is a current event thing, so this means you really need to do this every week, and if you fall behind on this, I probably won't grade I'm not likely to grade your posts more than a week or two late, more than a week late anyway, because this is about current events, not something that you're summarizing that happened a couple of months ago. And so this is one of these things you need to keep up on every week. Okay, so 10 points for this blog, 10 points for your discussion boards for the week, 20 points altogether, and that's where the 280 points for these boards and blogs come up in your syllabus. There is a thorough description of how your posts earn points in the syllabus called How Your Posts Will Earn Points, and there's also now a button. I've added this over the last couple semesters in the Blackboard course that's called Board and Blog Grading Guidelines, that sort of posts that for you to see at any time. So if you have questions about why you're not getting the points you're getting, before you write to me and say, why did it only get 6 points for this 10-point post, check this. And the answer is probably there. If you read this and you don't find the answer, let me know, and I'll try to explain it to you. The paper, again, as we talked about for the jungle, you read this book by, I think it's week 6, but see the course calendar, it might be week 7. You'll want to check that, but you're going to write a paper from 3 to 6 pages long. It doesn't have to be a huge paper, that summarizes the book, gives your reaction to it, and ties course concepts into it. Nothing too deep. It's sort of a book review with your reaction, though, and that kind of connects it to the class. And so I want to know in your paper that you read the paper, first of all. I want to see signs of that. Secondly, I want to know how you respond to the paper, what you think of what happened in the book, what happened in the book, and what you think of all of that. And thirdly, I want to know that you're kind of connecting this to some of the things that we're reading about in the text. So that's what a good 70-point paper will give me. You're going to submit that. I'll give you a place to submit that in Blackboard when the time comes, and you're going to submit the paper within Blackboard. I'll read it, grade it, post it back in Blackboard to you, so nothing goes by email here. Your research project, you plus 1 or 2 other classmates will be assigned to a position on a controversial topic, which I will identify, and that will create your team more or less. These topics are research topics that I select. I will assign you to, and I will assign you to them randomly. And so you may wind up being assigned to a position on a particular controversial topic that you do not agree with. But it will be your job to research that position and to present it convincingly in the paper. Now, this is not I shouldn't say convincingly, because this isn't a paper I want this to be a research paper. I don't want this to be an opinion paper. And that's why it doesn't matter whether you agree with your position or not. You're researching what is behind the yeses or nos of certain questions, such as should welfare be, should abortion be legalized? Okay, or should abortion remain legalized, I guess, just as an example of what a topic might be. You may be a fervent pro-lifer, and yet I assign you to a yes position. And so you really, this isn't about what your position is. It's certainly not about your moral thinking. This is about researching what's behind the yes side of that, and what do people why do people believe that? And this is a great way to learn about your topic. And so you'll be assigned to one topic, one side of the argument, along with one or two other classmates. Likewise, there'll be another group of a similar nature assigned to the opposite position, or another team, let's say, of the opposite position, and all of you then will form this group. And you will have a common group site that I will give you, where you can go in discussion boards, and where you can go in, you have your own discussion board, you have your own email connections, you have file exchange locations and things like this, where you can post papers and have each other read things. And incidentally, I will also be able to look in on those things. And so by a certain time in the semester, sometime in April, you'll present your final paper to me as a group. So the four to five or six of you who are in this, both sides of this argument, will present a yes/no paper to be graded. That will summarize the arguments on both sides of the issue, basically. More about that as the project becomes due. This is, of course, with 150 points, this is the biggest part of the project. This is your biggest single point earning opportunity, I should say, and it's an important project for you. So you will present one paper between the group of you, so that it kind of alleviates the need for everybody to write their own paper, I should say. When you have posted that paper and it's finished, I will grade it, return it to you in your file exchange, your group file exchange, again, not through email, but through Blackboard. And then I will take your original finished product without the grading and comments on it, post them in a discussion board forum, and other classmates will then read that paper and make comments in a discussion board forum, which you can also participate in. I'll say this again when it comes time, but please, if you're a procrastinator, do not procrastinate in this project. When you get assigned, make quick contact with your group, all the members of your group, both the yes and the no sides. Let them know you're there. Let them know that you're interested. If you can't start working on it right away, let them know when you're available. There's a lot of anxiety generated by classmates not responding to other classmates who have this project to do, because everybody wants to know, am I writing this paper by myself, or are you really going to participate with me? And so be courteous and be sure to be involved regularly in this project. And this is one of the things that will impact your attendance and participation points. Goodness, I didn't want to do this. They tell me that these transitions don't go over well in some of your applications, and for those of you with slower internet connections. And I apologize if that's creating problems. I need to try to eliminate these transitions in this presentation. When I had to shelve this presentation I set up some years ago, and then I've updated it from semester to semester, and I didn't remember putting these transitions in. I think this is the only lecture where this transition will be. So anyway, after your group papers are completed, they're posted, everybody gets an opportunity then to read them and to participate in a discussion board forum, each forum, again, giving them up to 10 points possibility of these are the to earn 50 points. As I mentioned earlier, 2 tests during the semester. These tests are multiple choice or true-false questions. I think mostly multiple choice. And the way this works, you don't have to have these proctored. You can take the test from the security of your home. You can have your textbooks open. Consider them open book tests if you want to do that. It's okay with me, but they are timed, and I can't tell you. I believe you have an hour. What happens is Blackboard, when you click, this test will be found in the weekly course content when it's offered. And when you open that test, you will have to finish the test before you close it. In other words, you can't open it, do 10 questions, and then close it and come back to it later. Once you've opened the test, you have to finish it. And if you finish it after answering 10 questions, if you close it after answering 10 questions, that will be your score. So you don't want to do that. Likewise, if you leave it open longer than an hour, Blackboard is going to automatically close it and score it after 60 minutes. And so there is a time feature on this. Now, if you take the test and you're not happy with your first score, you will have an opportunity to take the test a second time. You'll get different questions, but they will still be questions from those chapters. But you'll have different questions. So it'll be a different test, basically. But you can take it a second time if you want to try to improve your score. And the higher of your two scores will be the one that's recorded. That's in both of these instances. So test one is somewhere around mid-semester, and if you look in the syllabus, it's indicated where it is. And test two will be late in the semester, and we'll cover the entire semester, but mostly the second half. Oh, the tests open and they close, and so after 11 days, the tests they close. And so if you haven't completed the test, by the time the closing date comes, you will not be able to take that test, and you'll lose those points. And so it's very, very important that you know when the tests open, when the tests close, and those are on the course calendar and in the syllabus, and you'll be seeing them show up in weekly course content as well. Very important that you keep up with that and complete the tests when they're available. Finally, again, 5 additional discussion boards throughout the semester. You'll see some weeks where there are 2 discussion boards, and the second discussion board should be considered voluntary, but I would encourage you to participate in it. Consider these extra discussion boards, this extra 50 points, as something like insurance policy. Should you, I don't know, take a vacation in the middle of the semester down to Bora Bora, and you get there and you find out that there isn't an internet connection, and you're stuck down there for 2 weeks, and test 1 is open during that period of time. This is an opportunity to cover those points that you miss. So if you you don't you get ill, and you don't get a chance to do your blogs for a couple of weeks, this is an opportunity to make up those points, etc., etc. So I would encourage everybody to complete both discussion boards in the weeks that there are 2 of them there. But again, the second one is a voluntary thing. It's entirely up to you. Announcements. Your course will open to the announcements page in the class, and please check that. When I post an announcement, however, I am also telling Blackboard to send you an email at your university address with that announcement as well. And so if you check your email regularly, I would encourage you to do that daily. You won't miss any announcements from the class. This is my way of communicating with you, and so it's very important that you keep up with this. So it is your responsibility to check your email account, your university email account, regularly. The weekly course content button, which is the second or third one down in your course menu in Blackboard, is the absolute most important link in your course. This is where everything that you need to know about what you have to do for the week is posted. And so every Sunday morning, I would encourage you to look in your weekly course content and make sure you go through all of the panes or slides in the weekly course content. There will, although this week the weekly course content has more slides than usual, generally there are 7 to 10 slides in every week. And you'll see a certain format every week, that there's an introductory pane, there's a pane that spells out what your course learning objectives are. The next pane will have your reading assignments. The next few panes after that will have your lectures. I am breaking up the lectures, trying to break up these lectures into a couple of different parts so that you don't have any one that is really very, very long. To me, it doesn't. I don't know why it makes a difference, because you can stop the lecture at any point and get up and come back to it the next day. It doesn't, unlike the test, it doesn't expire. But they're telling us that psychologically speaking, students prefer to have smaller lectures and to have several to click on rather than one big one. Probably you'll find the most you'll see in any one week is probably going to be 3 lectures. There might be 2 usually. It's going to depend, but I'm going to try to break these up so that they're not so long for you. This one again is a little bit longer, but generally I'm targeting that they be about 30 minutes in length or so. I don't always make that target. Be sure to read. And so the lectures you'll find in the course content, then those things you want to listen to. Next, you're going to find a link to your discussion board. And sometimes the discussion board, the way it works, it takes you away from Blackboard. And so you have to remember to go back to Blackboard and get back into your weekly course content and click on the slides behind the discussion board, because there are more slides left. Next will be your weekly blog entry the week after that, and that will take you out of Blackboard also, but I think that program brings you back into Blackboard when you're done with it. There will be, if there's a test, the test is usually around this spot. Then you'll find a pane with the slides from the PowerPoint slides there without sound for you if you want to use them for downloading and printing or reviewing. And finally, a closing pane. So there you'll find several different slides that you want to make sure you read each slide each week all the way to the end. Remember, your assignments are posted here, your lectures are posted here, the tests are going to be found in weekly course content. You just need to check your weekly course content from beginning to end every week. I just can't say that enough. And I would also tell you that while this is an asynchronous course that implies that you can kind of do this work at your own pace, that's really not true. You can do this at your own pace and at your own schedule within the week. Consider it within the week. If you fail to do the work during the week and you think, I'm going to catch up with it next week or in 2 weeks or something like this, you're going to fall behind. The discussion boards are current. The blogs are current. You won't get graded if your blogs are posted much later than a week late, or they should be posted on time, etc., etc. So you be sure to work. If you think this is kind of at your own pace, think of it at your own pace during the academic week, during the week, not throughout the semester. If you haven't participated in an online course before, and many of you have, there are some extra considerations about your discussion boards and blogs. For one thing, we all pretty much have figured out by now that you can't tell intent in emails a lot of times, and so somebody might write something in an email that you read as being very, very offensive and accusatory that isn't intended at all to be that way by the person who wrote it. And this is because we don't have tones of voice in email. We don't have facial features. We don't have body language and those kinds of things. And when we communicate with each other on a face-to-face basis, we read all of those things. It's not just the words that we're paying attention to. And that's how we understand and can get along. But in email and in writing and discussion boards, you don't have those things. And so this is where Netiquette comes in. And there's a list of several rules in the Start Here, on the Start Here button, which I hope you've gone through, by the way. That tells you some of the basic rules of Netiquette, and we could triple that list if we wanted to. Always remember there's a real live human being sitting at their computer at the other end of this exchange. Always be respectful. Understand that there is someone somewhere who may vigorously disagree with you and may think that you're very, very wrong in your attitudes and opinions. But we need to respect each other. This should be an opportunity for us to be able to share our thoughts and opinions about these topics, which will be controversial at times, and to do so in a place that is safe and comfortable for us to do so. This is how we learn, by listening to others, and so and learning from others as well. And so remember that everyone else has feelings. Never threaten another student. Never post a comment that is derogatory about another student, and try to forgive other students' mistakes when they do perhaps cross that line and understand that it may not be intended to be that way. Let's try to be respectful all of the time. There's a little bit more about that also in the board and blog guidelines if you want to read a little bit more about that topic. For this week, you're going to start out your post with this is sort of an icebreaker exercise that really I just want you to write a little bit about yourself and to post this on the discussion board to get some experience with the discussion board. When you go in, when you click on, you'll see the title. The title is, I think, About Me and My History. And really all you have to do is click on the title on that Blackboard page and it will take you to the discussion board forum. And seek out the forum that says About Me and My History. Click on that and then you can post 150 words or more about who you are. And here's some examples of things that you might write about, but you can write about whatever you'd like. But what this is an opportunity for you to introduce yourself to everybody. Stand up in the classroom, please. Tell us who you are, where you're from, why you're in this class, whatever you want to do with this class, what your major is, what you enjoy, something about yourself. And if you would like, I encourage people to post photographs. It's always nice to see pictures of the people that are in the class. That's purely voluntary, not required, but you can post photos at any time in your boards and blogs, again, as long as they're appropriate, of course, but if they help to add to content. In any event, you can you click on the little button that says Create Thread, and you make your post, and then other people will see it and they can respond to that. And if you click also after you've created thread, if you click on the button that says Subscribe to this thread, you will get email notices when people respond to your post. And so that lets you go back and tells you can go back in and comment back if you'd like to. That's how it becomes a discussion. So I really encourage you to use this actively. And so finally, I believe this is the final slide. It's not. Okay. Watch the news for current events. Now, you don't have a blog entry this week. You won't find one in your weekly course content, but next week you will. And so this week, be aware of current events. Listen to the news, read the paper, look at magazines about any current events related to social welfare or civil rights. And here are some examples of things that, well, I've mentioned other things, but these are just some of the topics that you can relate to. And then your blog entry will pick one of these. You'll summarize the article briefly in your blog, and you'll give a reaction of about 150 words to that item. That will be a private post between you and me every week. This you'll do every week. And when you read the day text in the first chapter, Phyllis Day talks about the 9 American values, and this is really one of these very foundation concepts, very important for you to pay attention to them and understand them. And so please slow down your study a little bit and pay close attention when you get to that section, because this is something that we'll be referring back to throughout the semester. And that is the it's dark now. That's the end of this week's lecture. And so I again welcome you to the class, and remember to look next Sunday morning for week 2 to open up, and we'll get started in our studies. All right, and I don't know who turned out the light here, but goodbye. See you next week.